You're like a circle that floats around me, keeping me safe and sound. And when I fall, you've tied a rope to me. You're blessing me every day. I was down back up on my feet. That you showed up was written in my palm. You are a statement, explode like a bomb. I get to push myself to victory. You make me winner. You cut me loose and set me free. You make me win every way. You showed me how to spread my wings. Yes, I'm the winner of the day. You cut me loose and set me free. You make me win every way. You showed me how to spread my wings. Yes, I'm the winner of the day. Yes, I'm the winner, yeah. 'Cause I'm the winner, yeah. Am I awake or am I dreaming? So far gone, I won't look back. And when I move, there ain't no stopping me. You're pushing me up to the top. I saw the clouds looking angry, but then the sky reached my mind. And when I space out, I see the possibilities unfolding the way that I want. That you showed up was written in my palm. You are a statement, explode like a bomb. I get to push myself to victory. You make me winner. You cut me loose and set me free. You cut me loose. You make me win every way. Win every. You show me how to spread my wings. Yes, I'm the winner of the day. You cut me loose and set me free. You make me win every way. You show me how to spread my wings. Yes, I'm the winner of the day. Yes, I'm the winner, yeah. 'Cause I'm the winner, yeah. 'Cause I'm the winner, yeah, yeah. Ooh. Yes, I'm the winner, yeah.
I send my warmest wishes to the strong and lovely ladies of the Filipino Women's Association UK on International Women's Day. Every year on the 8th of March, we celebrate the International Women's Day to acknowledge the significant contribution of women and girls to their communities and to the world. We take pride in their gains and achievements, and we pay tribute to their strength, resilience, and fortitude in the face of difficulties. The FWA UK's theme, Leadership Through Adversity, for this year's International Women's Day celebration resonates with the current times. The past 2 years have been not very easy for everyone because of the pandemic. The COVID-19 crisis has dramatically changed how we interact with family, friends, and colleagues because of social distancing. It has also caused economic instability because of disrupted work. The pandemic, however, has reminded us of the important leadership role that women play in addressing the challenges of the times. We have, for instance, seen women's organizations fill crucial gaps in the provision of services for their communities during the pandemic. The FWA UK is a shining example of this. The FWA UK has noteworthy projects that raise awareness to the contribution of Filipino women to the healthcare, science, technology, education, politics, and business in the UK and globally. Recently, it has been awarded a grant from National Lottery Awards for All. For one, its projects that will provide computer skills workshops for digitally excluded elderly in Newham, London. This will enable the elderly to do online banking, access public services, such as the NHS, and make use of social working via the internet to keep in touch with family and friends. FWA UK's latest project shows us the profound contribution of women in building prosperous and caring communities where people can lead dignified lives. When women are empowered with their pool, ideas, efforts, and resources, together we have more inclusive and progressive communities, and the whole society benefits. I wish the FWA UK you continued success in all its endeavors. Mabuhay!
My name is Crystal Dias. Welcome to the Filipino Women's Association UK's virtual celebration of International Women's Day. It is a day to commemorate the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. This year, the association's theme is Leadership Through Adversity. A leader is always moving forward, even in the face of adversity, when the pressure is unrelenting. During the past 2 years, when the pandemic swept across the world, women discovered the extent of their strength, bravery, and their ability to adapt. Adversity can indeed be character building and can force someone to face their truest selves. We are fortunate to have women, Filipino women, in the UK who have demonstrated their ability to lead in time of crisis, just as Mrs. Angeles Nenitwasan Kimson did, who founded the association nearly 34 years ago to counter the negative media image of Filipino women in the UK. We are saddened by the death of Mrs. Kimson last year, but we are grateful to our founder as we continue with her legacy to project a balanced and positive image of Filipino women in the UK. On International Women's Day, let us also be reminded of amazing women who started it all, with the likes of Clara Lemlich, a Ukrainian-born union organizer in 1909, who stood up for the rights of garment workers in the US. She was a bold leader who came to the attention of the outside world. In the present time, let us stand with Ukrainian women and girls. We salute them for their resilience in the face of harrowing experiences and never failing hope. Join us now for candid conversations with female leaders from the UK Filipino community as they talk about leadership through adversity. Without further ado, welcome one of the moderators, Ms. Raquel Scrivens.
Hello. Welcome to the Filipino Women's Association UK. Today, we are celebrating the International Women's Day 2022. We are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. I am super excited about all the amazing conversations we're going to have these three prominent women in the United Kingdom who had shown their leadership skills during the time of adversities. My name is Raquel Scrivens, and I am your co-moderator for today. Thank you for joining us. But before we proceed, I'd like to acknowledge some of our viewers and followers on this event. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge Ms. Nenita Garad, Carmen Hickey, Jackie Micaela, Laura Lee Canale, MYLA Arceno, Virginia Librando Wagner, Daisy M. Sguerra, she's our member of FWA, Chelly Debal, Lydia Vernes from FWA, thanks for watching. Peps Villanueva from Batangas Association, Tita Margie from FWA, Endless Option, Edelisa, Jersey, and I can read some more. Anyway, I just want to remind you that our theme for today is leadership through adversity. So if you have any questions to our guest speakers, if you are joining via Facebook, we have a section, comment section below if you can type your questions. And on YouTube, those who are joining via YouTube, we have a section on the right side of the YouTube channel. Okay, let's move on. I'd like to introduce to you our first speaker, guest speaker for today. She is an award-winning business entrepreneur, an awardee of the 100 Most Influential Women in the World by Filipino Women's Network, and a member of FWA UK and a long-standing supporter. She was surprised that it's taking as long as it has for Filipino food to get the attention it deserves in Britain, especially given it's one of the most distinct cuisine to come out of the continent. There are a few Filipino restaurant concepts in London, and one of the people credited with bringing the cuisine to the capital is owner of Romulo Café. She believes that by offering both traditional and contemporary takes on classic Filipino dishes at her restaurants, she aims to make our food as approachable as possible, whilst honestly showcasing the unique flavors of the Philippines. Here to share her insights, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss ROWENA ROMULO.
Hello, good evening to everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Raquel. And it's really an honor to be here tonight. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much for joining us today. ROWENA, as I mentioned earlier, our theme for today is leadership through adversity. I know actually it's almost 2 years ago when the lockdown was given by our Prime Minister Boris Johnson. I know it's the 23rd of March 2020. And from that time, everything shut, the travel, the concert, restaurant, everything. We were all locked down. During that time of the lockdown, one of the main sector that's been affected was the hospitality. And you belong, Romulo Café is in the hospitality. Can you tell us, how did you navigate your business through the pandemic?
Well, Raquel, I'll never forget that date, March 23, 2020, right? Which was, as you said, the first lockdown in the UK. We had the choice to remain open for delivery and takeaway, but, we decided against it because our primary concern at that time was the health and safety of our staff. And so we closed our doors for 3 months and we all stayed home. But, knowing that our turnover would be badly hit without customers coming through the door and still having fixed costs that would not just go away, the first thing I had to do was to assess our current financial situation and come up with a better way of managing the cash flow of the company. We were fortunate that the UK government provided various schemes to help businesses throughout the pandemic. This is something that not many countries offered, including the Philippines. This included cash grants, government-backed loans, job retention furlough scheme, VAT reduction, and deferrals, to name a few. I started negotiating also with my landlord and many of our suppliers to provide us with some breathing space. And given that we had some long-standing relationships with many of them, they did provide us, some discounts, or they waived their fees for a period of time. So without this, it would have been extremely difficult to survive the year, nor be able to retain our staff. However, it was not enough just to rely on grants, and we needed to find a way to continue to operate the business despite the pandemic going on. So we converted our operations to a pure no-contact takeaway and delivery service, Although we had always offered delivery through online platforms like Uber Eats or Deliveroo, we recognized that many of our customers lived outside the boundaries of these food delivery companies. So the big question for us was how to reach these customers. And we expanded our area in two ways. Through a third-party courier service that could deliver up to a radius of 5 miles, and by enlisting some Filipino drivers that were not working at that time, so that we could offer scheduled deliveries to different parts of Greater London. We did this to cater to our guests or diners' stay-at-home circumstances, which was I would say about 10 to 15 miles more from our restaurant. This way, we gained a set of regular customers who looked forward to their Filipino fix every 2 weeks. We also started the development of our bakery line. I mean, who didn't bake during lockdown? This initiative had laid the foundation for the creation of our bakery and patisserie in Soho, which I will talk about a little more later. But our bakery products are now available for nationwide delivery in the UK. In addition, in March 2021, we joined the bandwagon and started offering meal kits to customers who could enjoy our restaurant food in the comfort of their homes. We offered a 5-course and a 3-course finish-at-home kit for 2 that comes with easy step-by-step instructions and tips from the chef how to prepare this. We also have 2 breakfast kits now, which come with homemade chorizo, tapa, jam, quesong puti, or a tuyo butter spread. All this is also now available nationwide in the UK. We partnered with a courier to ensure next-day delivery. The parcels have wool insulation and ice packs to keep the items cold. We launched on a platform called Plateaway, which specializes in selling meal kits. This trend has continued even now that lockdown has been lifted. This has been our lifeline. As the Prime Minister started to unveil his roadmap out of lockdown, we had to plan for reopening, adhere to social distancing restrictions, and implement several measures to safeguard the health and welfare of both our staff and guests. Prior to reopening for dine-in, we commissioned a professional cleaning company to administer clinically tested chemicals in the air, covering the entire surface of the restaurant to act as a protective shield against bacteria and viruses. We installed antibacterial door handles and replaced door push plates to help control cross-contamination. Screens were installed and the layout of the tables were rearranged to facilitate social distancing. We also had to adapt to new technologies for customers who preferred contactless service by allowing order and pay directly on their mobile phones. Masks, sanitizers, gloves, testing kits have become part of our daily shopping list. When I look at the business today, the model has evolved and the restaurant operations is not the same as it was 2 years ago, even if restrictions have been totally lifted. Because as we know, life will never really go back to the way it was. We have had to make changes to our menu and operating hours in response to the new normal. COVID for me has been a game changer. It forced us to innovate and develop new products and services. One also learns to be agile and to be able to react and move quickly to changing situations with regard to COVID. I know that the business will continue to evolve, and we will just need to be ready and flexible to make adjustments to new realities and challenges.
Yeah, thanks for that, Rowena, because I remember in the summer of 2020, I used to order the delivery from Romulo Café all the way from Kensington to South Croydon. Thank you for that. Yes.
Most welcome.
Thank you. I know, Rowena, another main decision you had last year when you opened a new business at the height of the pandemic. It is a very brave decision. What gave you the faith and confidence to persevere?
I think, one thing about having to stay at home It is that it allowed us the time to do all the things that you keep putting off, because owning and running a restaurant is a 7-day affair. More importantly, the forced closure allowed us to take a step back, revisit the strategy and roadmap for the future of the business. At the beginning of 2020, pre-pandemic days, the thinking was that after 5 years, it was the right time to look at site number 2 for Romulo Café and Restaurant. We wanted it in a more central location in London because we felt that this would further raise not only the profile of the brand, but Filipino food in general. When we decided to open Romulo in London in 2016, we always had the objective to have more than one site. Growth and expansion was key for the business to survive long term. So it was already at that time that we started looking at potential sites. I'm referring to January, February 2020. We were very fortunate to have found consultants and friends, expert in their various fields in the hospitality industry, who were helping us formulate a plan. One of these consultants who has become a very good friend is a 2-star British Michelin chef called Patrick MacDonald. Prior to meeting Chris and I and eating at Romulo, they've never heard nor eaten Filipino food. But after that, they fell in love with the food, our story, and our mission, and they wanted to help us with our journey. So this was really very encouraging for Chris and I. When the pandemic hit, and with more time on our hands, we continued our brainstorming via Zoom meetings. What came out of the discussion was actually a new concept of a diffusion brand offering more contemporary Filipino flavors with a multifaceted offer. So firstly, a fast casual restaurant at lunch offering quick meals, which then transforms in the evening into a cocktail bar and robata grill, emulating much of the Filipino street food concept. And then a Filipino bakery patisserie, which would be open in the morning and comprise an element of takeaway. This would be the first of its kind in London with a retail component. It was felt that this business model would be more accessible, flexible, and more resilient to the continued challenges of the pandemic and new normal living conditions, given its multiple revenue sources. So once it was agreed that this was the way forward, the team started working on the brand definition, the concept design, the potential menu, and a financial forecast and budget. As the pieces started coming together, particularly how the potential restaurant would look like, and when Kulay, as you know, who had done the mural of Kasa and Kin, had provided his vision, I guess I started really feeling very excited about the project. I eventually shared the concept with my family, and surprisingly enough, especially my father, they were very supportive and encouraging. While we understood the risks of starting something new during uncertain times, we also understood that to be successful, we needed to grow. Their blessing and support were a key factor that gave me the courage to move forward. It has always been my dream to open in central London. Why? Because not only is it London's most dynamic district, but it is home to its most pioneering foodie hotspots. But back in 2015, when we were looking for the first site of Romulo, the cost of entry were too high and risky for a cuisine that was pretty much Asia's best kept secret at that time. But in 2021, the dynamics changed, and landlords were very much more willing to negotiate, and we saw a rebalancing of rental prices and terms for commercial properties. I knew that once the market reopened, we would not see these conditions anymore. And so when the Poland Street site became available, I was even more convinced that this was the right time to move forward. Opening a restaurant during the pandemic has and continues to be challenging. There's lots of ups and downs. Everything from finding a contractor, hiring staff, supplies. and then finally managing to open in November, only to get hit with Omicron in December. It was a nightmare, to say the least. Everyone around me was testing positive. It was really scary. But what kept me going? I guess it's having that sense of purpose and believing in the vision of the company. When things get tough, I always remind myself why I do what I'm doing. I know that we have something unique to offer, and this has given me the faith to persevere. The market's perception of Filipino food has changed over the years, and there is a much better appreciation of what we have to offer. The support, encouragement, and the overall feedback that we have received since opening keeps me motivated to move forward. The passion to create and share dishes that I love and to bring more of the Filipino culture to London drives me to continue to pursue my dreams.
Wow, Rowena, that's you're so inspirational, and a very, very brave decision to open up Casa and Kin during the height of the pandemic last year. So congratulations for that, Rowena.
Thank you. Thank you.
And as a final question to you before we go to Q&A, Rowena, can you tell us what does leadership to you? What does leadership through adversity mean to you?
I think leadership through adversity means, or it's about building resilience. It means learning how to deal with and confronting difficulties, successfully surmounting it, finding the courage to continue, becoming stronger, more confident, and capable of overcoming future obstacles. We all know that life is not always a bed of roses. When things get tough for me, I tend to take a step back, take a deep breath, and I try to assess the situation honestly and objectively, meaning the good, the bad, and the ugly. I try not to allow myself to become too overwhelmed with negative emotions or thoughts. I take time to process the situation, and then I choose the best path forward, focusing on what I can influence and impact, and letting go of what I cannot change. Sometimes things happen beyond our control, and that can knock the wind out of our sails. But if you're working on something that is meaningful to you, you will always find a way back to it. The one quality that helps me manage through my daily challenges is the willingness to stick with my goals and to refuse to settle for anything less than my dreams. If you are determined enough to make it through the thick and thin, then no power can stop you. As some people have already heard me say this before, nothing is impossible. The impossible only takes time. Thank you for your attention.
And that's your mantra, because I remember when you were in Filipino Women's Network in Toronto. I remember, I can't forget that mantra, Rowena. You're such an inspirational person. Okay, let's go to the our viewers. We've got a lot of viewers here. Mac Inocencio, we have Celine Inocencio from the Philippines, watching at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm trying to find some questions here. I found one here for you, Rowena, from Jeanette Thompson. It's a very good plan, Rowena, as she said. Do you serve vegan dishes?
Yes, Jackie, we do serve vegan dishes.
Okay, that's good. So you better visit Casa and Kin. And Café Romulo, you provide vegan as well, right?
Yeah, so both Romulo and Kasa, I mean, we've made sure over the years to continue to increase our vegan offering because, we know that, there is a population, of people who are now into, to vegan and therefore it is important that, they are given that choice in both restaurants.
Okay, that's good. I've got another question here from Maria Levantis. She's a friend of mine in New York. She's watching in New York. She said, "Great job, Miss Romulo. Just one question: was the increasing crimes related to increasing racial discrimination during this pandemic affected your business or your business strategy?
I'd say maybe fortunately not. I really cannot think of anything in particular, which I really feel lucky that there was anything that where we were discriminated or there was racial injustice that affected our business and our strategy. So I'm really, I think, fortunate not to have experienced that.
Okay, thank you for that. Is there any more question for? Oh, this is Tita Carmen. Are you still doing pandesal?
Of course, that's our daily bread. You have the classic pandesal and all the new filled pandesals in various colors.
Yeah, you have the ube. Yeah,
we have ube cream cheese. We've come up with new varieties, especially in Kasa and Kin. We have an activated charcoal with makapuno. We have anato with peanut butter. We have calamansi pandesal, Nutella pandesal. So lots of more and more varieties and offerings. So please visit.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much. And also I'd like to acknowledge, I've seen Dina Trinidad here, Hazel Asentisa. So we've got a lot of viewers at the moment. Okay. Now, thank you, Rowena. For any more questions, please. Oh, I've got another one here from Virginia before we go. One last question. Are you planning to expand your business here in the USA?
I wish. So actually, when we developed Kasa and Kin, that is the model for the future, in the sense that it is the business that we would use to expand in other countries. So it has a franchise model offering, and therefore, as we continue to roll out the strategy, we hope to be able to expand also in the US.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, if you're liking our Facebook page, Filipino Women's Association UK, and on Instagram, we are at FWA UK. Rowena, thank you so much for joining us. You're such an inspirational person. Now, before we continue with our next guest, we would like to share with you special messages from two prominent ladies. The first one is Miss Sandy Montano. She is the chairperson of the Philippine Commission on Women and an awardee of the 100 Most Influential Women in the World by Filipino Women's Network. And our very own, the gorgeous Miss Rose Eclarinal. She's the Bureau Chief of EMEA for ABS-CBN, and she's an executive producer of One You Connect. And also, she's the 2021 Presidential Banaag awardee.
Greetings of gender equality and women's empowerment. This March, the Philippine Commission on Women enjoins everyone to join us in honoring all Juanas as we celebrate the 2022 National Women's Month. This year's celebration is special with a recurring theme, We Make Change Work for Women. In its culminating year, and with observance timely set months before the national and local elections. This year is an opportunity to highlight the gains achieved for women and girls, and at the same time, assess our efforts towards gender equality and ask, have we made change work for women? As we look back at what we already achieved, we also look forward to what remains to be done. It is timely and relevant as the country continues to reel from the COVID-19 pandemic. In line with the sub-theme, Agenda ng Kababaihan, Tungo sa Kaunlaran, we highlight that by addressing women's concerns and issues, sustainable development can be achieved. We want to enable more women to demand programs and services that can empower them to meaningfully contribute to to the country's progress. As we observe the National Women's Month, let us honor Juanas by promoting their welfare and ensuring their participation in all aspects of development. We encourage you to use all possible tools and platforms in celebrating Juanas, from music through the Musika ng Kababaihan Fridays, hashtag Purple Tuesdays, hashtag Purple Your Icons, profile pictures, stickers, GAD forum and agenda setting, online advocacy, and other pertinent ways. The Philippine Commission on Women thanks all our partners in this advocacy as we encourage everyone to continue building on the gains attained and reaching strides towards gender equality. Lastly, to all Juanas, this celebration is a reminder that you are strong, magnificent, beautiful in all ways, exemplary, diligent, brilliant, compassionate and passionate, innovative, resilient, and powerful, for being pillars, trailblazers, and change makers in the family, community, and country. We honor and celebrate you. Muli, maraming salamat. Let us continue making change work for women.
It's an absolute honor to be celebrating International Women's Day with you. I'm asked to share my own experience and insight into the topic leadership in adversity. Before I deep dive into this topic, I would like to share with you how challenging it is to break into the broadcasting industry. As a person, as a woman at that. But all the years when I'm faced with challenges, I go back to my core values, my sense of right and wrong, and my dream. I started my broadcasting career as a 20-year-old fresh graduate from University of the Philippines in Diliman. I worked in the biggest and the #1 broadcast station in Southeast Asia. My values as a journalist have been formed, honed, and polished in the same company I worked for. Fast forward to 2020, we all know that ABS-CBN lost its franchise during the time of pandemic. So it's a double blow. I started to officially lead a team of 25 to 30 freelance correspondents scattered across Europe during the most challenging of times, during pandemic and at a time when we had no broadcast franchise. This January, I also became the bureau chief of Europe, Middle East, and Africa. It means I handle 3 territories with less budget, with more work, with more people to handle. I would say I'm still a work in progress. I'm trying to be resilient in time of adversity. In this journey, I'm tapping into what I learned in the last 2 decades. Number 1, you have to surround yourself with role models. You need to find mentors, find inspiration in the work that you do, and in my case, in the story that I do on a daily basis. I also realized that whatever you want to achieve professionally or personally in your life, you will not be able to do it on your own. And you need to be surrounded by people who will lift you up, and when it's the right time, all the forces and the stars in the universe will align to make your goal and your dream happen. You will shine as a person, as a leader, as a woman. I'm fortunate that in my highs and lows, in my career and in my personal life, I've been surrounded by great women. I'm Rose Eclarinal. Thank you for listening. Happy International Women's Day.
Welcome back. Just in case you've just tuned in, my name is Raquel Scrivens, and I'm the co-moderator of this event. Okay, right. Wow, I've got a message here from my brother. He's in Florida. Well done, sister. We're very proud of you. Thank you very much for watching. And I saw the name of my niece as well, watching from Maryland, and another one, my friend Shireen, watching as well in South London. Okay, joining us next, I'd like to introduce to you our next speaker, great speaker. She is a Filipino nurse working within the NHS since 2003. She is currently the modern matron for respiratory at University Hospital in Coventry since October 2020 and in the peak of the second wave of the COVID pandemic. She has come to worldwide fame when she delivered the very first COVID-19 outside of clinical trials to Margaret Keenan in December 2020 in Coventry in England. Her hard work, determination, and vaccination advocacy for patients and staff safely has earned for her privileged historic role in the global fight against the pandemic. Her passion for nursing and advocacy for equality is prominently through her work as a regional director for Filipino Nurses Association. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce our next guest speaker is May Parsons.
Hello, hi everyone.
Hi May, how are you? And thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's such a privilege to be invited to speak to you all today.
Yes, May, I remember watching on December 8, 2020, I was watching it live. The very first patient who you administered, what's the name again?
Margaret Keenan.
Margaret Keenan, she was the 90-year-old pensioner. And when I watching that, I thought, oh my God, she's a Filipina. She looks like a Filipina. And I was right. So May, can you tell us about when you administered the first vaccine? What went through your mind when you were asked to administer the first ever COVID-19 vaccination in the world?
So just to start with and to give context to it and background if people weren't aware, in my hospital, I was already part of the group of people that were planning the rollout for the vaccination. So I was already aware that the vaccine was coming. So to be asked to actually deliver the first vaccine in my trust, it was obviously something that I felt really honored to do. It was something that everyone was experiencing across, not just in the country, but across the globe, that we were all scared about the COVID pandemic, where we're coming to kind of go to work and then take it home. So we were all terrified about contracting the virus. So I think for me, it was such a privileged position to be in, to be asked to deliver the vaccine. And also the fact that all of my hard work and all of the things that I've done prior to that is obviously being taken into consideration to think that actually, hard work does really pay off. They do see the determination and the hard work that we as Filipino nurses do and, contribute to our community and in our for our patients. Obviously, everyone was scared. Everyone had a lot of doubts about the vaccine, but I was really I'm a staunch supporter of the science of the vaccine. I know that people has a lot of questions about, a lot of doubts about the vaccination program and how it was developed. But science is science. It's proven. So I have a very hard, scientific-based belief about the efficacy of the vaccine. So I think in that point, I was also quite scared about the flashback or the anything that could happen, because obviously there's a lot of people doubting it and there's a lot of naysayers about the vaccine. So I was also scared about that. But I think I also found that actually in times of adversity, when people are faced with a lot of adversity, they come to a point where you choose to be brave, to do the right thing and to stand for what you believe in. So for me, experiencing firsthand the COVID pandemic, seeing the amount of deaths that we were having, not just for our patients, but also for our colleagues, for our healthcare workers that are dying, specifically for Filipinos, where in the first wave of the pandemic, 1 in 4 has died. So knowing firsthand what we went through, I felt it was my duty to be brave, to show the way, to lead the way in ensuring that we are able to provide those people in our community the protection that we've been kind of striving for that was 7 months at that time now. So I felt really privileged and quite excited by the fact that actually this is the time that we can fight back. All of those months that we were just seeing people die, and all of the nurses and healthcare workers were feeling despair and feeling hopeless and not being able to do anything to stop them from suffering. This was an opportunity for us to give that protection to people. And at the end of the day, that's what we want to do. We want to save as much lives as we could. This is an opportunity for us to actually say, this is the protection that we're waiting for months on end, and we can stop the deaths happening. And this is kind of like something to fight the pandemic back. And I was really hopeful and grabbing the opportunity to ensure that everyone takes up the vaccine, which can only obviously protect them. But yeah, so there's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of hope. But hope is the most powerful, aside from love, I feel like hope is the most powerful thing that you could ever feel. It's the only thing that keeps people from despair when everything else feels hopeless, So, privileged, honored, and also very proud that our hard work based on our culture and what we grew up with in the Philippines because of our culture, it's been recognized. So I hope I made everyone proud, and clearly I am proud of the hard work that we've all done through the pandemic across the globe.
Yes, we are so proud of you, May. And I salute all the Filipino nurses in the NHS during the pandemic. They really worked hard.
Thank you. And also, I think it's an opportunity to raise the profile of nurses, not just in the UK, not just Filipinos, but all of the nurses around the globe, as well as Filipino healthcare workers, because I don't think without us, it would have been a really different outcome. But yeah, so I think the opportunity to raise everyone's profile in the vaccination program, I think it's, I just grabbed it and run.
Yes. Okay. May, can you share with us what typically is a routine part of your regular day-to-day job has suddenly gained global attention? And and another question there, a follow-up question there is, what impact did this momentous event have on you? And how did you navigate through this experience? Because you became a global,
I think for me, just to give context as well of what I did to earn me that honor of giving the first vaccine. In one day, I'm a modern matron for respiratory, and I was, I have lots of responsibilities. I manage a lot of people. Pero for me, it was my advocacy for vaccination, because I think that when you're vaccinating people, you're keeping them safe. And if you're keeping them safe, the people that they look after, like for us, our patients are also in turn being safe. So for me, I gave 140 flu vaccines in one day on top of my regular job. And for the years that I've started my nursing in USD in 1996, I've given thousands and thousands of vaccine. And for me to be able to kind of provide that protection to my staff and, in turn, protection for my patients, I think it's a phenomenal job that, we take for granted because we do it all the time. But clearly, the things that we do every day impact positively on the people that we encountered on a daily basis. And I think for my job, the daily task is not important. The most important thing is how we affect people that we encounter and how we make them feel. Obviously, I'm also very proud of our culture and our traditions, and being Filipino, how we grew up and how we kind of hold ourselves in face of challenges. It's obviously given me a voice and a platform to raise profiles of not just Filipinos, not just Filipino nurses, but all of those people who are women. It's International Women's Day today. I think it's a phenomenal job for someone to actually have that platform to raise women of all ages, of all backgrounds, to ensure that they know that they can achieve anything they put their minds to. We can achieve anything. And that is something that I'm really proud to say, that it has given me the platform to support those people, those women around the globe, not just the ones that are near me, but across, all platforms, near and far, to be able to inspire them to actually be the best that they can be. Think of the things that you can achieve if you don't think there's any boundaries that can stop you. Also, obviously, hard work still pays off, and I'm hoping to inspire people in our future girls to be phenomenal women of no boundaries and great dreams, and in any field that they choose. And I think that is something that I will take positively from this experience. And if I could inspire one person, that is already a win.
That's great. Well said, May. As my final question before you go, can you share how can regular people like me find the courage to step up during the testing time?
For me personally, the thing that I would say to people is to do a reflection and think about the why. Why are you doing these things? For me, the best reason for me to do it is for my family. I have 2 kids. I have my husband. I have also my titos, lolas, titas, my family. I do it for them. And for you to be able to step up and to be brave and find that courage, I think you have to realize what you want to achieve. For me, it's really important to keep my family safe. It's important for me to be able to know that I am helping other people, having that vow to make people's lives better. Those are the things that drives me. Those are the things that I'm passionate about. For people who aspires to be braver in the face of adversity, I think you have to think about the why, and you have to think about what you want to do and what you actually want to achieve. If you like helping people, then do that. I think it's really difficult to find bravery when you're not doing it for someone, and it's always the reasons why you're doing things is the most important thing. And besides, I'd like to think that people know that anything that they do has got an impact. We are all able to impact change at every level, and to think that if one person does the positive thing, if you put that all together, it's a big change. It's very impactful. So don't think that just because you're one person, you can't change or be impactful to anyone. You can positively impact people's lives, and just starting to change within you and around you is a positive thing. So don't let that stop you. It doesn't have to be that you're changing lives of thousands, of hundreds. You can just change the lives of the people around you, and that in itself is a job well done. So it's the purpose of what you're doing it for is important.
Yeah, that's great, May. Thank you so much. You're such an inspirational person.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've got Q&A. I'm trying to find some questions here. We have a question here, or a comment from Arlene Morley. So she said, salute to all the NHS staff. Yeah, I've got another question here from Jeanette. Amazing you are, May. Quick question, please. Did you contract? Have you had COVID?
No.
No.
So I actually told my boss on the first wave of the pandemic. I said, I can go to ITU and work there to help to support them. So I went to ITU for 4 weeks. So that was when there's no vaccination. So I was there for 4 weeks. I didn't have COVID, and then we had an antibody test just to figure out if any of us has had any COVID infections while not having any symptoms, and I've done that. I haven't had any antibodies. And then obviously in October I went to respiratory. We have AGPs, we were looking after all the COVID, and then I was part of the Siren research where every 2 weeks we were getting blood tests to see if we've had antibodies. I haven't, so I've never had COVID, even though I was in ITU and respiratory.
God.
I know, so it was really amazing. I think because I was really, like I said, I believe in the science, the PPE, the social distancing, all of those things and efforts that we've put in is really effective. Never had one. And I've obviously followed the rules.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Luckily, touch wood, I've never had COVID as well for the 2 years now. So I've been very, very careful.
Yeah.
Okay. There's another question from the audience. From Maria Levanti. She said here, hooray for all the nurses of the world. Thank you, Ms. Parsons, for being the vehicle for change. How does your hospital deal with nurses shortages?
So for us, obviously with respiratory, everyone got scared of COVID and respiratory. So when I got to my wards, we were 50% vacant. So we were really short. So we were doing agency staff, we were block booking them, but also we did a international recruitment drive. We recruited a lot of nurses from India. So we've had them during the COVID pandemic, but also for me as a manager and as a leader, I made sure that I was looking after my staff. So even though they were not my permanent staff and they were my agency staff, I made sure that I'm looking after them. So they keep coming back. So they like to work with me. So that's what I did. So yeah, I think it's all about working and looking after the staff, the people that you work with, to ensure that they're healthy and they're well and they're looked after and they won't want to come back to work with you. So that for me is really, really important because, at this time, everyone's mental health is affected. We're all physically tired. We're all broken. If I'm going to be very honest, we're all broken and we're all in more ways than one, with our hearts broken every day. So we have to be very compassionate towards not just ourselves, but with our staff. So I just made sure that I was looking after them. So, I mean, we can, and also role modeling is really important. So for me, I had to make sure that I was always there to support my staff. So, however short we were, I was always there with them and suffering with them, as it were. It's not just leaving them to suffer on their own. I was always there with them.
Yeah, you're all amazing. I have another message here from Daisy Esguerra. She said, more power to all frontliners. NHS, God bless you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Is there one more final question from the audience? Who was there for you? Was it Michelle Gardner? Who was there
for me? My mom is here. Oh, well, I'm married, so I have my husband who's very, very supportive of me and very understanding and very, if I may say so, he looked after me in more ways than one. I have also my kids, my children. I have got a daughter and a son, and my mom is also here with me. So even though I didn't see my mom for at least 14 months, I was able to kind of easily speak to her or FaceTime her, things like that. But my family kept me going, and those are the support systems that are really integral to our mental health. That you've got to have someone. Doesn't have to be blood. It could be your best friend. It could be your trusted person. You have to have that support system around you to ensure that your mental health and that you're not going to be compassion exhausted. So yeah, I had my family around me, which I'm really grateful for them.
Yes, thank you very much, May. She's a woman who wears too many hats.
Yeah.
A mother, a nurse, a wife, everything. Anyway, May, thank you so much. And those who would like to ask any question, you can privately message us, and then we'll pass it on to May so she can answer. Okay, thank you so much. Before we move on to our next speaker, we would like to share with you another special message from Miss Pamela Gotamgo. She's a Filipino artist based in Switzerland and an awardee of the 100 Most Influential Women in the World by Filipino Women's Network. And she's also the 2021 Presidential Pamana ng Filipino awardee.
Hello to all the members of FWA UK. Thank you very much for including me in your Women's Month celebration, and I am truly honored to be able to share with you some of my experiences and challenges during the COVID-19 global pandemic. Despite all my shows being canceled and spending more time in the kitchen cooking for everyone who stays at home for 24 hours a day for months, I chose to use the time that the COVID-19 pandemic has taken away from me and all emotions that goes with it as a fuel to create a better version of me. While we are all facing the same storm, we are definitely not on the same boat providing the shelter that we all needed. Less challenging to some and more for others. And as an artist, I am basically mainly fueled by my emotions most of the time. But as humans, we have this ability, amazing capability to be able to control how these emotions will affect us. And the good news is that us women in particular have that superpower to turn negative emotions as a fuel to achieve our goal or merely just to prove a point. Have you ever been broken-hearted and ended up a few notches higher from where you were? And as women, we have proven to be exceptionally creative, resilient, and persistent. And instead of letting this pandemic put me down, I have created and established new ways to live life more profoundly. I am able to do so by following the three main guiding principles that I have set for myself. One is to set achievable goals. Second is to use my heart as my inner compass that will help me navigate through life. And third is to anchor my life and my work to my advocacies. And with this, we have founded Pampinay at the height of a global pandemic last March of 2021, together with a Filipino digital artist based in London named Christian Bilaro. Pampinay is a fashion-forward brand that promotes Filipino culture and creativity with a mission to empower Filipino seamstresses and weavers back in the Philippines and be able to provide income opportunities for them while they are safely working from their homes. Pampinay is a collection that's 100% made in the Philippines, but it was designed in Switzerland first, then in United Kingdom, and all the materials are sourced in the Philippines, and all the labor are done in the Philippines as well. Our Pampinay collection has three brands. One is the Pampinay main collection. Second is the Pampinay curated treasures, promoting works of the master artisans in the indigenous community. And the last one is the Pampinay collaboration, highlighting Filipino designers based in the Philippines who has the amazing talent but lacks the opportunity to show in the global arena. And in less than a year, we were able to create 35 different combinations, and Pampinay is now officially available in the Philippines, in Switzerland, and in USA. I would like us all to be reminded that it is essential for women to support other women, and if we want to achieve gender parity across all fields, it is essential that women support each other through mentorship or channeling the power over collaborations. Women in particular, we benefit more from collaboration rather than competition. And they say that as women, we are too emotional and that we follow our hearts too much. Embrace it, use it, and use your heart, and let it be a compass that will help you navigate through life. And if we use our heart when making a decision for both our personal and professional life, we instill truth and integrity in our existence. Happy Women's Month, everyone. Bye.
What a great message, instilling truth and integrity into our existence by following our hearts. Thank you very much, Ms. Pam Gutanko-Hop, for this very uplifting message. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ira Lehman, and I am your co-moderator for tonight's event. I hope everyone is joining the event so far. Let's have a quick glance at the comments and see who else is watching. I see Miss Michelle Gardner. Hello. Miss Stacy, Maria Levantis, Jackie, Arlene, our members from the FWA. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Darmin and Ana Luisa, thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, by the way, you can support the FWA by following us on social media. You can like our Facebook page here or follow us on Instagram at FWA UK. All right, I'm very excited to speak with our next guest. She is the first Filipina to be elected as Labour Party councillor in the UK. Currently a councillor for Martinswood and Stevenage, she's also a physiotherapist in the NHS, while being an active member of the Chartered Society of Physiotherapy. Not only is she active within local politics and healthcare, she also has a creative side and is the managing director of the Philippine Theatre UK and a freelance writer for the One Philippines news magazine. A community leader, mother, wife, sister, friend, and a daughter. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with me, Councillor MYLA ARCENO. Good evening, Councillor. Thank you for joining us this evening. How are you?
I'm okay, Ira. Good evening. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. And good evening to all our viewers. It's my honor and privilege, of course. And I can see that one of the comments, I can see my mentor in politics. I can see the Councillor Michelle Gardner. She's our previous councillor. So she was the one who actually mentored me all through the years when I was campaigning. Oh, thank you so much, Ira.
Thank you. Councillor, throughout your entire career, in fact, even during your studies already, you seem to have always been involved in leadership roles. Can you share some highlights from your career or studies where stepping up as a leader was just second nature for you?
Thank you. Actually, I always, because it's International Women's Day, I always like a girl who's just quiet, who's always just smiling. I always like to be like that. But unfortunately, I was not born to be like that. I'm really born as a leader. So at the young age, I didn't even realize, or even my parents didn't even realize, that I always take the leadership, even in the classroom. So I remember even at the age of 7, you know, when the teachers will go out, it's for some reason I didn't even have to think about it. I'm always the one who will stand up and make sure that everyone is behaved. And I'm sure if my classmate will be listening, I'm sure that they will agree with that. So I'm always voted as the president in our classroom during my elementary years. Yeah, I always being elected as the president of our school. And in high school, I'm the president of our school as well. And I'm a valedictorian, of course, in the Philippines. You know, you always top the class. And even during my university time, during my college time, when I was taking my physiotherapy degree, I didn't even realize that I will still have to go as one of the vice president in our school. And I think for me, even at that young age, I didn't even have to think about it. It seems to me like it came naturally. Until now, it comes naturally that every time there is something that will come out, I always have to stand up and lead everyone else. So it was showing even at a young age. So, and being a valedictorian, I think it's because I really like to study. And also for me, it's second nature to me that every time I have to study, it seems like, you know, I really enjoy it. And I also seen my dad, because he was one of the councillors in the Philippines. So I was growing up, I always go with him, and when he was campaigning. So I always talk to people. And also, it's not only just taking the leadership. I think for me, it's really innate, and by nature, I really want to help people. And so I think it came from that age that I always show that I love to help everyone. So when I came here in 2003, of course, I had a young son. My son was only 5 years old at the time. So I have to dedicate myself to working in the NHS, and we were new here. We don't have any family. So we really have to work hard when we came here year. That was almost 20 years ago. But then when my daughter came, I have to make sure that she will still remember that she still have the Filipino culture. So here in Stevenage, I always say I did not choose Stevenage. I think Stevenage chose me because I did not live anywhere when I came here in the UK. I was here. So this is like I was being chosen. So one of the things that I started when I was here in Stevenage is I want to teach the young girls about the Filipino dances, the folk dances. So it came from there. So I was teaching them. The reason is because I don't want my daughter to be left out without knowing or understanding about our Filipino culture and tradition. So I invited other girls as well. So it started from there, and then we have an activities in our church. So church is also a big factor with me as a leader, because we have an activity in the church, and then we have to perform. So from there, our performances there, other people have seen it. Some of the organizations in Stevenage have seen it. So they also invited us. So it's a Stevenage World Forum. It's Celebrate. And I know Michelle is also watching. She's one of the organizers of the Celebrate, or one of the trustees before of Stevenage World Forum. So we have to perform. And from there, we actually have a lot of invitations. So it came from there. And then we have all the events and the invitations. I met other councillors, I met other local leaders, and then I think they can see the nature in me that I would say I'm more of a community leader, because initially I don't think I am a politician by nature, but of course I can't deny it. I'm a councillor now, so I have to say I'm a politician. So it's more of being a community leader, and they can see it. And then it started from there. And I've been asked many times before if I will run for the local election. And Mayor Sherma, rest in peace, she's not here anymore, but she was the one who asked me first, and then followed by Michelle. And I keep on saying no at the time, because for me, I feel like I am a mother. I have young children at the time. And at the same time, we know it here in the UK, we don't have any helper. I don't have any family to help me. I still have to do the housework. I still have to do the cooking. And of course, I still have to take care of the children. So I said, no, I don't think it's the right time yet. But then, of course, 2 years ago, when I think probably Michelle, probably she felt that I was ready at that time. So I said, okay, let's go for it. And then when I was running for election, of course, I did not expect to win. So we didn't really realize that people would love me. And I am here standing and sitting and talking to you. And I really hope I'm inspiring other women as well.
So, Councillor, you were elected in May 2021, correct?
Yes.
That was in May last year. So that means that you were campaigning at the height of the pandemic in 2020. So what were your lowlights and your highlights during that time? And what do you think contributed to your success in the end?
Okay. Because it's my first time to run last year. Supposedly it should be 2020, but unfortunately it's been postponed because of course of the pandemic. So they moved it last year. And I never had the experience of campaigning here in the UK. And although I had an experience in the Philippines, because we know we are big with election back in the Philippines. So here I don't really know what to expect. We have a very good teamwork. We have a really good campaign team in our Labour Party here in Stevenage. And they really guided me at the time, but it was just a short period of time. And I really have to observe a lot of the councillors and a lot of our campaign team. And I really learned a lot from them. But the only thing that I have is I didn't have the chance to really campaign that long. And one of the things that I would say that I was really having difficulties is because it's pandemic, and at the same time we don't have much of volunteers because people are still not confident to go out and knock at the door or campaign at the time. So we really have to step up. So fortunately for me, we have a very good community, a Filipino-British community in Stevenage. And I have to say most of them are working in our local hospital. So for me, at the time, I know that there are not Not everyone had a very good numbers of campaign team, but for me, I'm very proud to say that I have the support of all the nurses, of all the people from our church, in our church, because I'm teaching the communion classes in our church as well. So I have many people who came and offered their support. So I would say that I was one of the counselors who was able to deliver all the leaflets in every door. So it was very, very good because I didn't have any problem. I just have to say, oh, we have a campaign, we have to deliver these leaflets. So I have a lot of people who offer their support and service to make sure that we have to deliver all those leaflets and all the campaign materials that we have. And another thing is, I think the difficulties that I have is, of course, my husband, of course, didn't really want. I know it's my husband was not supportive, because obviously it's pandemic and we are already thinking about retiring because my husband travels a lot, so he always wants me to go with him. And the only thing is, so at the time it was a bit challenging. So what I have to do is I always make sure that I have to clean the house, I have to cook, I have to set everything ready before I have to go to my campaign period. And at the end it was a bit difficult because I knew it would give me it would be a big of a difficulty for me if I will have to continue and campaign if he's not supporting me. But fortunately, I have my 23-year-old son, Jeb. Yeah, I'm sure he will watch this. He was actually the one who told me that, Mommy, this is your life. If daddy will not support you, you don't have to say no to it because this is your life, this is your decision. If you find that you are passionate and you love what you're doing, you go for it. Don't let daddy control your life. So I think for women, because it's International Women's Day today, we have to remember if there is just one person, okay, sometimes it's a family who will challenge you, but at the same time, there would be somebody, a member of your family that would really push you and inspire and motivate you. So for me, I have those two sides, somebody who will challenge me and I have somebody who will motivate and inspire me. And at the end, it was my decision that I will have to go for it. And of course, when I said to my husband, "Oh, don't you worry, I will not win anyway." Okay, who would vote for me? This is the first time. I don't think I will win the election, especially the area that I was running for. Martinswood is not a secured labor seat at all. So it can go anywhere. It can be a different color. So I said, just go enjoy it, and just go for it. So I did, and I've heard people saying that, "Oh, I'm so sorry, we're not supporting the party." There are things, there are many challenges. But one thing that I haven't experienced is somebody who's being rude or mean to me during the campaign. And I have to attribute it because of this face. I always said because of this face, not just the beautiful face, but I think it will be the Filipino face. So that's why for me, being a Filipino, it puts me at it was an advantage for me. Because of the Filipino face, we have the nurses, we have the NHS, and people here in Stevenage, and I don't think just only in Stevenage, but people around the country, they always appreciate that we Filipinos, most of us are working in the healthcare service, and they really appreciate it, especially during the pandemic. So I think for me, that was one of the edge, that was one of the reasons why I have a really warm welcome every time we have to go during the campaign. And it also helped because I know most of the people in my area because I am active at church. I teach the communion classes, and I am very faithful. I'm faithful with my belief. So, and they can also see that. And also, it's not only for my, at work, and also at the same time in school. I also very active in my children's school, and with all those things that I've been doing before, without me thinking that I would be running into politics. So for the last 20 years, everything that I've been doing in my town, in my local area, and I did not expect that it will actually give me back 100 folds. So with all those things that I've been doing before, I was able to actually achieve, during the campaign. So I was able to achieve all the support of all those people around me. So it has its all the advantages, and the most of the things is actually it's the and the most important thing is where I am right now. Yeah, I did not expect that I will really enjoy it too much. So, and I'm sure that the many counselors and the many people around me, I know that they can see how much I enjoy my work as a counselor, and at the same time I'm working at the same time in the National Health Service as a cardiac rehab physiotherapist. And people will say, how can I manage it? But I think it's more of being efficient. And people at work, they already know that I always make sure that I have the contingency plan. So when we have an event or we have other plans, I always make sure that there is something. If something will go wrong, we always have to make sure that we have a contingency plan. So I think, yeah, no matter how busy we are, especially for us women, we wear many hats, we are multitasking. But for us, we always know how to handle things because we always make sure that we take it with passion, and we always make sure that we have to prepare the contingency plan. If one plan will not work, we always make sure that we have other things that will actually make sure that things will have to work the way we want it to be.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, I agree with that. I know we've spoken about this previously about the idea of a social bank. I think that's what you did in the end, without necessarily knowing that that will work in your favor later. I know you're active with your church, with your local school, in the hospital, and you had this this will to just give and contribute to society, right? Not necessarily knowing that a few years down the line you might rely on the community to support you. When you started to pursue your, the career in politics, but it worked out in the end, right? I think it's a great example of good karma. What you say?
Yeah, that's correct, Ira. Yeah, so that's why I always say that when you have to do something, and if somebody will ask you, don't expect for something to come back. Yeah, it's always give with all your heart. So being generous is not only being generous with financial aspect, but also with being generous with your time. Sometimes it's just having a listening ear, and also, even just like share your talents or your skills. Because for me, I like writing as well, one of the best example. So let's say if somebody will invite or will ask me that they have an event, so yeah, I just have to offer, okay, I'll write something, like an article, and I don't expect anything from it. And if somebody will have to even just the simple child minding, yeah, because here in the UK we don't have any problems with child minding because we are helping each other in the Filipino community. So even things like that, or even just small things that somebody will ask you, or even for us when we have to perform with the different organizations or the charity events, we do it passionately because we love to do it. And we love, we are really passionate about the things that we're doing, and not expecting anything. Because if you don't expect anything, you will not be disappointed, and then it makes you feel happier, and you will just not realize that after a few years or after a while, everything, that good karma that you're saying, it will come back to you. Yeah, so that's right.
That's right. So before we move on to our Q&A section with Councillor MYLA, I have a last question for you, please, Councillor. In the meantime, to our audience who are watching tonight, if you have questions for Councillor MYLA, please post them in the comment section below on Facebook or on the chat section on YouTube. Councillor, my last question for you, please. I'm curious to get some tips and insights on how we can hone our skills to lead every day.
Okay. All right. Leadership, of course, our topic is leadership in adversity. Always remember that being a leader, you don't have to be in politics. You don't have to be a community leader. But being a leader, it should be coming from our heart. It should be from ourselves. We can be a leader by taking ourselves, getting up in the morning, or just leading our household, making sure that children are doing well, making sure that we have to organize our household chores, our household activities. As a woman, that is already that would like it will be as a leader. It will be our characteristic as a leader in our own home. And even just putting your clothes, putting your makeup on, or just putting yourself outside your door, that is already taking the lead. So for me, being a leader is it's not just being there outside, but being a leader within yourself and making sure that you are leading yourself in a good path, of course. And how can we hone ourselves? Always remember that each one of us, we have our own talents, we have our own skills, and making sure that it's not just you're not keeping it. You're making sure that you have to share it, because the more you share it, you feel much better in yourself. And then when you feel better in yourself, you are more motivated and you can do a lot of things. And if you have to do something, like if you are good with something, it doesn't mean that you're good at it. Like, for example, my daughter, fortunately, she's gifted to have a very good voice. I love to be a singer, but unfortunately, I don't have a good voice. So I always tell her that, if you have a good voice, it's your gift from God. You just don't keep it. You have to really show it. You really have to share it, because that is one thing for you, because it's being given to you. Like for me, if I'm given things that I know, the skills that I have, that's the reason why it looks like I'm busy, because I want to make sure that I am using all the skills that is being given to me, and I want to make sure that I have to share it with everyone. And you have to practice. If you have these skills, you have this talent, you have to practice it, and you have to make sure that you have to share it. And also, I think Councillor Michelle, I can see like something that flashed while I was talking. And we have to make sure that adversity, the diversity in our community. I think for us being a Filipino, it will show, because we have a beautiful diversity, not only in Stevenage, but around the world. We have to make sure that we have to embrace the beautiful diversity. And for us here in Stevenage, we are very lucky that people here we are in a diverse community here in Stevenage. And for me to be here, standing and talking to you right now, and to be elected as a local councillor, it shows that people are open, that this is us, that they are actually open, that what we can bring here is good for the community. Because we came here, I always say, we came here to work in the National Health Service. We're not only here to work, to send money to our parents or the family in the Philippines, but we are also here to make sure that we have to be involved in our community, and we have to serve, because this is our home. And with that, people can see it, and we are bringing the beautiful diversity in our country, in our host country, the UK, and makes our the kababayan in the Philippines proud of what we are doing here.
Wow, thank you so much, Councillor. And we're ready to move on to the Q&A section. I think we only have time for one, max 2 questions. I see quite a few here. We have one from Jeanette. Question for Councillor MYLA, please. What challenges did you experience since you joined politics?
Okay. I think thank you for that question, Jackie. One of the challenges is because I'm also working full time as a national in our local hospital as a physiotherapist. And one of the challenges, I think, is because we have other activities. We have things to learn. I am in the planning and development committee. I'm in audit committee, the overview and the scrutiny, and also the community select committee. So with all those committees that I have, because I love to read, I don't want to go to the meeting and not knowing anything. I love to read everything. We have pages and pages of paperwork that we have to read. I love to read. Although it's a challenge that I have to spend time, but at the same time, it's also an advantage, because I learned something, and all the things that I'm learned, it's not only for me, and it's also for our community. So it's making sure that you have to give the time, and because I'm working, and aside from the committees, we have many casework. I have to say, being a councillor, you have to really put your heart and yourself in it, because it's not just being a counselor, but you really have to love it. Because if you don't love it, with all the cases that you have to handle, you have to make sure that you have to listen to your constituent, and you have to really get out and really meet the people. So although it's something that you have to do, the challenges that I would say is making sure that you have to find time. So you have to be efficient with your time, and the main challenge is your weekend, instead of resting or instead of doing the housework, you have to go out and also meet your constituents. But always make sure that you have to find time, like you have to make sure that you have to be efficient with your time. So although it's a challenge, but at the same time, it makes me learn it. Actually, I learn a lot how to be more efficient with my time, which I think right now it's actually working. You just have to make sure that you have to find time on each things that you have to do, and most importantly, make sure that you have to find time to rest. For me, with even though how busy I am, I always make sure that I have time to rest, because that is very important. Making sure that I have to stay healthy, making sure that I'm physically active, eating healthily, and plenty of rest. Even though how busy we are, we always have to put ourselves forward. We always have to make sure that we look rested and we have more energy to do what we have to do in our everyday life and with our busy activities.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the words of wisdom, Councillor MYLA ARCENO. I know we have quite a few comments here, and looks like you have quite a few supporters in the audience as well, but unfortunately, that's all the time we have for the questions. Thank you once again, Councillor MYLA.
Thank you so much, Ira, and thank you everyone for the International Women's Day celebration. And to all women out there, always make sure that you are special. Always think that you are special, and no matter what your status in life, okay, wherever you are, there is always something special in us, and we are all special, and we have the right, every right, to be here in this world, and we have the right to say what we feel that we need to say. And the most important thing is, whatever you feel, whatever you think, always say it, because no one will know if you will not say it. But say it with a smile, and say it in a way that it's understandable to everyone. And at the same time, things that you have to say, even though it's the same word, but if you say it in a nice way, you will have more impact. And always make sure that smile and be happy in everything that you do. Be happy. Don't choose something that you're not happy to do, and don't let yourself being pressured, because when you do something that you like, that you enjoy, you will be more effective and you will achieve more. And I think that, can you give us one word that, wisdom, that is one word, be happy, okay, or happy, one that I will have to say.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Councillor. Thank you. All right, so we are now coming to the end of our event. But before I hand over to our chairman for our final remarks, I would like to remind you that the FWA UK is a not-for-profit charitable organization. We provide scholarship programs to children in the Philippines disadvantaged by poverty and disability. And we also respond to the needs of the wider Filipino community here in the UK, especially the elderly and the vulnerable. As an FWA UK member, like our guests, ROWENA ROMULO and May Parsons, you can be part of a grassroots network of women. The FWA UK is where you can contribute to help address the important issues to keep our communities strong, harmonious, and vibrant. So if you would like to join the FWA UK as a member, please follow the link below and complete our online form. Thank you very much, everybody. I would now like to welcome to our stage our chairman, Ms. Dulia Prado.
I would like to thank our speakers, our wonderful mothers, our talented and accomplished women in their chosen field, for sharing their experiences during this COVID-19 pandemic. They gave an inspiration into us on how they face the challenges in times of adversity. Ladies, you took time out of your personal and professional lives. We know everybody's busy, but you did. So you can share your accomplishments to the wider society in this year's International Women's Day. My sincere appreciation to the ladies who sent messages by video, messages of encouragement and wisdom, sent from faraway places, from the Philippines, from Switzerland, and in the United Kingdom. To all viewers on Facebook and YouTube, thank you for joining us. Wherever you are, I hope your sleep pattern has not been very much disturbed. As chairman of FWA UK, I am very grateful to the ladies who have given enormous amount of their time to make this virtual presentation possible. And they are Crystal Dias, Raquel Scrivens, and our technical genius extraordinaire, Miss Ira Lehman. To everyone tonight watching this stream live and in the future, let us remember in our prayers the women and children of Ukraine who are facing unimaginable hardship and suffering. And in countries around the world where conflicts seem to be never ending, women and girls suffer violence. It is an everyday occurrence in their lives. So on behalf of FWA UK, may I ask you, when you say your prayers, please pray for the women, the children, so that we can continue to live our ideals and dreams as women of the world. Good night and maraming salamat.
You can't get loose,